appearance of the year for Sean Salisbury. Maybe.
Yeah, you never know.
He's always there to check in with, and we appreciate that. We appreciate him making time for us each and every Tuesday/Wednesday. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
I'm a little embarrassed, Sean. I don't mind telling you. Jason Ross asked me during the break, and I've been with you doing stuff long enough. I should know the answer here, so I'd like to apologize in advance. I look at your career, whether it's Seattle, Indy, Winnipeg, Minnesota, San Diego, Minnesota. Again, I see Houston in 1994, which you know, no disrespect at all. According to Wikipedia, you had a cup of coffee with them, practice squad, off season, whatever. You weren't there that long.
Don't trust Wikipedia. I always get it right. I can go in and change yours if I need to.
Well, what he asked me is, how did you get to Houston? How did you get to you've always been down there since I've known you, and I don't think I've ever asked you.
How I got to the show. I was recruited from when I was in Dallas. David Galbi, ESPN, recruited me to come and do radio for them. And I did radio for them for about 3 years. And then on iHeart, I was a free agent and obviously was planning on going back and signing. And then the CEO of our region at iHeart and the program director took me out to when I was free to negotiate and made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And I've been there ever since. That's how I got here. They brought me from Dallas.
Nice.
There you go, Jason.
There we go.
Question answered. I should have known.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, so Sean, we obviously, everybody watched the game. We all watched the game. We thought it would maybe even go differently or be more competitive. How surprised were you at just the ease that the Eagles made it look? I mean, they were dominant that day.
Yeah, I think the roster, I think most of us agreed the roster was better. We were looking at experience, even though they've been in a Super Bowl, and how to handle distractions and wins. And with the three-peat on the line, all the things that would tell you that the Chiefs are going to be, on guard and ready to go and geared up and making a memorable not only game but performance, even though the roster in Philadelphia was better. And I think a lot of people thought Philadelphia could win, and boy, did they. The shock for me was that there wasn't one. Now, the defense played pretty damn well. They did going in. If I'd have told you Barkley was going to, rush it 20-plus times, but they were going to just let him hit singles, and that's what they did. They didn't give up the Barkley home run, caught some balls, but it opened it up for what we were concerned with. If you shut Barkley down, now Devontae Smith and Hurts and Brown, are they going to make big plays? Well, the two receivers scored, and Hurts played great football again that he did the last Super Bowl other than the fumble. So poised. The guy is poised. So I was shocked at it was a beatdown in every of epic proportions in every phase. It looked to me, honest to God, and I've never seen it. It's the worst I've seen in a meaningful game. It's the worst I've seen an Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes team play. I'm talking about for 4 quarters. It was never in doubt. They came out, hit him. Yeah, they got a couple scores, but it was never in doubt once Philadelphia jumped on them. I mean, they dominated the line of scrimmage. They dominated defensively. They made more big plays. The quarterback outplayed them. It looked as if the team, I felt like Kansas City was playing in their first Super Bowl and scared to death. It looked like a team that was ill-prepared, and I know that's not an Andy Reid team. I don't know if it's from they're exhausted from being this many games another year. I don't want to make excuses. Philadelphia just beat them. It wasn't that Kansas City lost it. Philadelphia beat them. And the same thing that happened when they lost to Brady in the Super Bowl is their offensive line got destroyed by Tampa. This Philadelphia front seven was phenomenal. And the game plan, we knew Spagnuolo would have a good one. Vic Fangio's was even better. And he's been in it a long time. To not blitz for 4 quarters and get that many sacks and pressures and still not give up big plays other than a couple throws when the game was out of reach. It was epic, man. And they outcoached him. They out-executed him. There wasn't one phase of the game where I thought, you know what? Yeah, that gave the Chiefs a chance to win. Their defense played pretty good, but their offense put them in a bind. They looked they were subpar, and they were very mid when it came to it. They looked ill-prepared to me. And I'm shocked to say it because I would never think I'd say it. The Philadelphia Eagles beat them. They manhandled them physically, mentally, and emotional. And after the first quarter, it's the first time I said in a long time, this is almost unwatchable. That's how bad they beat them down.
Sean Salisbury with us. Sean, I want to test drive a theory I've been scooting around this week, so bear with me on the Chiefs. I look at Patrick Mahomes and you see all the comparisons between him and Tom Brady, of course, but I'm wondering if we can compare the franchises in the sense that you have between the Patriots and Chiefs, you have two Hall of Fame all-time coaches. You have two organizations that are run beautifully with an all-time great quarterback. The lines generally are together, offensive, defensive. The running backs are by committee. You know, Brady's best running back was probably Corey Dillon. The year he had Randy Moss even at wide receiver is the year they didn't win the Super Bowl. And with Mahomes, you've got, no disrespect, but young X-Worthy, who had a great game, Juju Smith-Schuster, who was on his way out, almost retired DeAndre Hopkins. You get my point. They both had super stud, first ballot Hall of Famer tight ends. And it's almost like the franchises were testing to see how little they could put around these stud quarterbacks before they had to add some firepower. Is there anything to comparing those two franchises and how they operate?
Oh, sure. Know how to handle the salary cap.
Yep.
Know when to get rid of a player. Belichick, with a guy, you say, damn, the guy's been a great player. But Belichick always would get rid of a guy who was a starter and a contributor a year before. He got rid of him a year early instead of a year late, and they kept replacing players. Both operated with different rosters. Chris Hogan one year as a receiver, who's a lacrosse player. You lose Tyreek Hill. You bring somebody else in. That guy plays well. You get Smith-Schuster a couple years back. He returns. I mean, there's always, and it is that, Kevin Falk, and you'll get a third down back for them. I mean, there's always, and then there's the expectations and the culture that when you go there, you know what to expect. So, yes, and I believe this for a long time. Over the course of, let's just say the time I played to now as a broadcaster the last 40 years, the best teams consistently, I'm not talking about the aberration of Carolina going to a Super Bowl. I'm talking about sustained consistency. Think about where the consistency exists. The Steelers, 49ers, Patriots, Kansas City Chiefs, Green Bay Packers for us. What do they all have in common? Ownership that gets out of the way and lets football people handle football, a phenomenal head coach or somebody who gets it and is there, and a quarterback, Roethlisberger. The 49ers with Montana and Young, but even with Brock, there's stability. It's stability. Usually their offensive and defensive fronts, it's similar guys. That you have three or four that are really good in the one stud, whether it's Vince Wilfork or whether it's Chris Jones, Mike Vrabel, linebacker, Rodney Harris. And you take a look at this team, same way. So there's a ton of comparisons. Neither could three-peat. One had an 18-0 record on the line. One had a chance to do what nobody else has done. Both did and couldn't close it out. And ironically, a defensive coordinator, one named Steve Spagnuolo and another named Vic Fangio, were the heroes of the game. The one against the undefeated season, Fangio's. Here's another comparison. They didn't have to blitz in the game that they beat Brady. They rushed 4 and beat him and beat down the undefeated team with a 4-man pass rush. They did the same thing with Philadelphia beating Kansas City. And both Super Bowl losses for the Chiefs have been offensive line has been pummeled. They had 2 injuries to the tackles in the game against Tampa. And you saw this where the defensive front was better than the offensive line, and they won. So defense is still winning championships, but the similarities, I don't know if eerie is the right word, but you went down the list. The comparisons are there, and rightfully so. But I will tell you this, as much as I love Mahomes, and I think he is off the chart special, Mahomes is closer to the number 2 guy, Montana, than he is the number 1 guy, Brady. He's done it 8 years. Talented, awesome, been to a bunch of Super Bowls. You also, the durability, 23 years. When you get past 10 years or 12 or 15 and you're winning Super Bowls 20 years into your career, then you got to come see me. And you get on a second team, then you got to come see me. It's close. Mahomes is special, but he's still number 2, and there is a distance between him and Brady.
Interesting. So, Sean, we know it's, right or wrong, fair or foul, whatever it is, we put too much on the quarterback, and it's such an incredible position, and you would know it. So this win for Hurts, I mean, he was great. He got the MVP. I think he was awesome. What does this do for him in a league that's got Mahomes and Jackson and Allen and still Rodgers and just some great quarterbacks? What does this do for a guy like Jalen Hurts?
Well, for him, you see how poised he is, right? I remember, and I don't mean this to pat on the back, I was at the SC Alabama game when Jalen Hurts had his coming out party when they first played him. And Nick Saban, it was in Arlington at the opening game of the season. And the year Sam Darnold had a breakout year too. Hurts played in that game, came out and played a bunch. And I can remember talking to about 5 of my teammates at the game in Arlington. I said, man, that young fella's poised. He's from Channelview right here in Houston. His dad's a coach, which is pretty obvious. But I said, that's as poised the young players I've seen in a long time. And that still holds true. That's my favorite thing about him. I've never seen him get he doesn't get rattled in post-game interviews. There's just a sense of, I got this. And look at all the crap people talked about him when he got the new contract and still stayed the course. Didn't fight back. His fight back was on the field. I don't know why we as a old school and even some new school football society and judgment, if you're a dual threat quarterback, we automatically think you should be ranked behind the pure passing, straight drop back, sit in the pocket guy, which is what I was. But I don't subscribe to that. So he doesn't throw the ball as pure as Marino. Who the hell does? He doesn't play as off-schedule sidearm as Mahomes. Who the hell does? I know this. The guy's been a starter for, 4 years? Mm-hmm. Has had him in the playoffs, I think at least 2 of them, 3 of them, has had him in 2 Super Bowls and was 1 fumble away from possibly being 2-0. He's been MVP worthy in both. Eli Manning's going to the Hall of Fame, and he went to 2 Super Bowls and won them and turned the ball over, had a 500 record, and I love him, but more pure passer. We seem to want to discount, and I don't know why, because every coordinator is looking for a guy who can kill you both ways with his feet and his arm. But if you're not just a pure passer and look pretty doing it, then we seem to mark you down a notch. I don't subscribe to that. I think what it does is tells Philadelphia they got the right guy. You saw that he doesn't have to throw it 40 times to beat you. He can throw it 28 times and complete 22 of them and be the MVP. And he's also got the element of being smart, high football IQ, and a great leader that never blinked during all the fire Sirianni. Do we have our quarterback? So I think it's great for the organization and great for him. But I still don't think coming back next year that he'll get the respect that he deserves because he doesn't look. And I'm not saying color of the skin. I mean, Warren Moon was a pocket guy who could move too in college. He could do both. I'm talking about just the optics of Burrow drop back. I mean, we're finally getting to Allen. We've given the MVP he deserves, but Lamar Jackson's been great. Hurts he's just not going to throw it 45 times to beat you. But his strength is he can do both, and if he needs to throw it efficiently, he can. Isn't that where Aikman threw 26, 28 times a game? And we loved it. So he deserves more respect and more credit. I know this. When a guy plays his best in the biggest games, he bypasses a lot of the guys that throw for 4,500 yards that played their worst in the biggest games. I'll take Jalen Hurts any day of the week. The guy's the winner.
Last question for you, Sean. I'm hoping you can help solve this mystery for me. I'll take you back a year ago this last December 3rd. The Philadelphia Eagles were coming off a 37-34 overtime win against the Buffalo Bills. They were 10-1, set to host an NFC Championship rematch with the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners went in and beat them 42-19. Yep. And at that point, they went from 10-1. They won one of their final, 7 games. They finish 11-6. They go to the playoffs. They get blown out 32-9 to Tampa Bay. And I've been saying ever since, Sean, I don't know if we'll ever know the story, but god dang, that smelled like someone met with someone's girlfriend or some sort of – I to this day, Sean, especially after the Super Bowl, have wondered what the hell happened to Philadelphia last year after that Niner game.
That's a great point. I think we all do. Now, it could be just as simple, Dave. We've seen this happen where a team gets beat. Now, for instance, this Super Bowl we just saw, I can't wait to see how the Chiefs respond.
Yeah.
They played a lot of games, and it's like, oh, we were supposed to three-peat. It wasn't even near a three-peat. I could have named 8 teams that would have shown up better on that day, which was shocking, as we said. But what are they going to do? The hangover's not just playing more games and going to the Super Bowl. The hangover's, can you overcome getting your ass handed to you I'm talking about in epic fashion? Well, with Philadelphia, you and I both damn well know, it wasn't just they didn't execute the X's and O's. Remember, that was also when the Sirianni, Jalen Hurts aren't on the same page.
Yep.
Talk started. And for whatever they did, they responded like you're supposed to. Whether it's in-house fighting, whether it's something going on, you're exactly right. But then they went in the offseason and said, no. And even early this year, Sirianni, after arguing with the fans, is going to get fired if they don't. And if they don't make the playoffs this year, or if they lose in the first round, I'm not sure that he's not fired. And now, like Ryan Day, probably going to get a contract extension. 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years. So, yeah, whatever went on, they responded the right way this year. I'm anxious to see how other teams like Buffalo respond for not winning. And then the Chiefs, could this be what happened to Seattle? You lose down there at the goal line. You lose that Seattle thing after the loss in the Super Bowl. And then the team, kind of tore apart. What's going to happen in salary cap hell for the Kansas City Chiefs? Anxious to see. But whatever it was that Philadelphia went sideways, they sure as hell righted it the right way and did what good pros and paid pros are supposed to do. Do your job, and they did it better than anybody consistently this whole year.
Sean, as always, another year gone. We appreciate you so much, and usually we'll check in the off season as well because you're not just football dude. Love you, brother.
Here, brother.
Always appreciate your time, my man, and have fun down there. Keep kicking ass.
You will. You guys are pure class, and I'm here whenever you need me. Thanks so much for everything.
Thank you, Sean. I'm going to remember that once fall comes up when we ask him back.
Yep.
Hey, you said.
Yeah. If you need anything. And pure class.
I gotta tip my cap as we go to break. The chat's great. We're talking Eagles and Chiefs and success and Brady, and then out of the blue, Raiders. It's like the drunk uncle, man. Raiders. We'll take a break. When we come back, NBA news, NBA notes, standings watch, and more before we get to Who's Hot,